So Christopher Sanchez is not an all-star. It is a joke. It is a travesty. Everybody that follows baseball pretty much will sit there and tell you the same thing, that this is ridiculous. And it became even more of a joke when Jacob Mizorowski, I might have butchered that name, the starting pitcher for the Brewers, who has all of 5 starts in Major League Baseball, was named an all-star. Obviously, the Philadelphia Phillies were very, very vocal about their displeasure towards this and the decision makers that named him an all-star over the likes of Christopher Sanchez and also over the likes of Trey Turner, who leads all of baseball in hits. It's ridiculous. Now, Ranger Suarez was asked to pitch in the game. He said no. Zach Wheeler was one of the initial representatives for the Phillies with Kyle Schwarber. Zach Wheeler will also not be pitching in the game. Good. He wants to get ready for the second half. But Christopher Sanchez not making it over Jacob Mizorowski is absurd. It's 5 starts. And you've got Trey Turner coming out and saying the quiet part out loud, which is the MLB All-Star Game at this point is a joke. It's a popularity contest. And it's always kind of been a popularity contest in a lot of ways, but in this particular way, it is the flavor of the week. Because when you've got a guy making 5 Major League Baseball starts, and albeit he's been phenomenal, but still 5 starts, you sit there and you go, really? But he is the flavor of the week. He is the be-all, end-all. And I thought this last year when Paul Skeens was announced as the starter for the National League. And Paul Skeens is an incredible pitcher, but I thought, really? The starter? Now, this is, and I'm going to preface this by saying, I don't watch the All-Star Game. You don't watch the All-Star Game. I stopped watching the All-Star Game when it stopped mattering. I was one of the few people that actually liked the fact that the All-Star Game determined home field advantage in the World Series, because at least at that point, if my team was good, which at the time the Phillies were, I'd end up watching the All-Star Game because I had a vested interest in seeing whether or not the Phillies, were they to make it, would they have home field advantage. Now, I don't care, and no one truly cares. Let's be real. But the Phillies have turned this negative with Christopher Sanchez into a giant positive that I think could impact the team moving forward. And that is what John Middleton did. If you don't know, John Middleton is the owner of the Philadelphia Phillies. Now, the Phillies have a few owners, but he really is the figurehead. He is the face of the franchise, if you will. He's the face of the ownership group. He is one of the best owners in all of baseball. And the biggest reason why is the dude wants to win. He puts his money where his mouth is. He has routinely said that he wants to, quote, get his trophy back, which he hasn't had since '08, so I don't really know if it's his trophy. But he wants to win. And out of all the sports, baseball is actually littered with owners who, believe it or not, don't want to win. Like, it's not that they don't care if they win. They don't give one flying fuck whether they win or lose. And that is because there is revenue sharing. So you have the owner of the A's who will cry poor. He'll want, Oakland Municipal County to build him a stadium because he's broke with his billions of dollars. But he's okay with the A's never doing well. He's okay with the A's never selling out. And why is he okay with that? Because he keeps his revenue, or he keeps his payroll as low as possible while going, oh, Yankees, you guys made a lot of money. Can I get some of that? Mets, you guys did well. Dodgers? And then that's revenue sharing. And that's why you have so many teams like the A's. I'll throw the Reds in there. I mean, the Reds make a run once every decade. But for the most part, like the Reds, the Royals made a run a couple of years ago. But those teams that you just never really worry about, those are basically the revenue sharing teams. They're the teams that the ownership will sit back and collect a bunch of money. And they're okay. Whether they win or lose, great, doesn't matter to them because they're rich. Whereas you have John Middleton, who realizes, 1, I'm rich. 2, if my team does well, I'm going to make more money. So I'm going to put this money in. I'm going to sign Bryce Harper. I'm going to sign Trey Turner. I'm going to extend Zach Wheeler with the hope that this team that I've paid for will be good enough to win a World Series. And if they are, then you know what happens? Revenue goes up. I can charge more for tickets. People will buy them. It's the field of dreams. People will come, Ray. Well, people will come if the team is good. I mean, I think we all remember that you couldn't give away seats in 2015, but when that team is good, the bank is the place to be, and that is something that he has realized. And he wants to win, and that is why he's one of the best owners in sports. But it's more than that, and it's what he did to bring this all back with Christopher Sanchez. Because one of the reasons why it was such a joke that Christopher Sanchez wasn't named an All-Star is because Christopher Sanchez had a bonus in his contract for $200,000 if he were to make an All-Star game. Now, he made one last year, but he didn't make one this year, even though he is more than deserving. And by the way, one of the reasons why he didn't make it is because Major League Baseball knew he wasn't going to pitch. He started, by the way, brilliantly, 7 innings, 1 run. He started on Sunday, and he wasn't going to pitch on Tuesday. But it's the point, right? It's the point of, like, he deserves to go. He deserves the nod. He deserves that little star on his baseball reference page that says he was an All-Star. He deserves the right to say thanks, but no thanks, he didn't get it. And the Phillies, because of that, they reserve the right to say you weren't an All-Star. We're not going to give you $200,000 because you weren't named an All-Star. Were you deserving? Yes, you weren't. And I sat back and thought about one of my favorite movies of all time, 8 Men Out. If you don't know what 8 Men Out is, it's a great movie. It's a better book. But it details the White Sox of the 1919 Black Sox throwing the World Series. And the reason why they threw the World Series was because their owner, Charles Comiskey, was the cheapest bastard in all of sports. To the point where his ace, Eddie Seacott, had a $5,000 bonus in his contract if he won 30 games. Well, he was at 29, and Comiskey said, yeah, sit him for the rest of the regular season. And when he went to Comiskey and said, yo, can I get that bonus? Comiskey said, no, 29 is not 30. I'm not paying you $5,000. And because of that, because of the cheapness, the players said, yeah, I'll take the gambler's money. I'll throw the World Series. And thus they eventually got caught, kicked out of baseball. The Phillies weren't going to do that, obviously. But it's the show of good faith by John Middleton to sit there and go, you know what? You weren't named an All-Star. It's a joke. You have this structure in your contract where if you were to be named an All-Star, you're getting $200,000. I'm giving that to you still. I'm going to give you $200,000 because you earned the $200,000. Because you are one of the best pitchers in baseball. Oh, Ranger Suarez, you were asked and you deserve to go anyway. I'm going to give you your bonus as well. If you don't think for 1 second that other players around baseball are watching that and taking notes, you're kidding yourself. The way that an ownership group and a front office treats their players is very, very important. Now, at the end of the day, money is going to talk. But, for example, if you have a player who is down to 2 teams, one of them being the Phillies, the other, let's say, being the Padres, okay, and the money is the same, and the Phillies have repeatedly treated their players really, really well, while the Padres, maybe they didn't, I don't know. But the agent will sit there and direct his client, most likely to Philadelphia, because he knows that that's an organization that will treat their players correctly. I think we all remember a couple of years ago, I think it was Juan Soto with the Nationals, like he went to the All-Star game and he was supposed to fly commercial. And it was the Phillies who stepped up and were like, yo, if you want to take our private jet with our reps, like, sure, why not? Did Juan Soto end up signing with the Phillies? No. They didn't make him an offer. But it's not the point. It is repeated actions by this ownership group that show all of baseball, not just Philadelphia, not just the Philadelphia players, but all of baseball, we treat our players correctly. And I think when it comes down to free agency, and it comes down to a player like Kyle Schwarber, will he take less to stay in Philadelphia? I don't know. Okay? I think if it's like the Phillies are offering 20 and another team is offering 30, yeah, I think he's probably going with the $30 million. But if it's close, and let's say it's only a $5 million difference or a 3 or a 2 or the money's even, I think he's returning to Philadelphia. I think the Phillies did a great job by Christopher Sanchez and Ranger Suarez. Kudos to John Middleton. We should not take this man for granted, okay? Because it is very easy to sit there and just get that money. Get that Comcast money, get the sponsorship money, and just sit there and go like, if they win, they win. If they don't, they don't. But he doesn't do that. And what he did with these 2 players, it is once again a sign that he is willing to treat his players correctly because he knows that it's like happy wife, happy life. Well, happy players hopefully result in a good product on the field. They're not disgruntled. They're not angry. They're out there, and they know that they will be taken care of and that hard work pays off. That's what happened here. Now, that's the part where I'm going to ask you guys to hit the buttons. You know what they are. Subscribe is the most important one. That would be cool. Thumbs up, thumbs down, whatever. Argue amongst yourselves in the comment section. But, yeah, I do think this is a positive, and I am going to eat pizza. Let me tell you, the disrespect that has gone on for Joel Embiid has reached an all-time high. So Bleacher Report comes out with their rankings of like the top 100 players. He's ranked 66th. The Ringer comes out with theirs, and he's ranked 84th. What are you drinking? You're going to sit here and tell me there's 84 players better than Joel Embiid. There's 66 players better than Joel Embiid. Now, obviously, as you see, like I'm a Philadelphia sports fan. I'm a season ticket holder of the Sixers. Am I a little biased? Yes. Joel Embiid is the most talented player that I have ever seen in my lifetime wear a Sixers uniform. But he's not just that. He might be the most talented player to ever play the game of basketball. And I know that people are going to go, oh my God, what a scorching hot take. Grab your SPF 100. What I mean by that is not that he's like Michael Jordan, Kobe, LeBron, all that. What I mean is talent level. He is 7'2". He moves like a guard. Defensively, he is an absolute stud. He's the closest thing we've gotten to Hakeem Olajuwon since Hakeem. I do not understand the level of disrespect for this man. He is a 7'2" fucking unicorn. A unicorn. He is a once-in-a-lifetime player that does not come around often. I mean, think about, like, the bigs in the NBA that you look at and you go, like, these are the guys, right? Jokic. Jokic doesn't play defense. Jokic is unbelievably offensive. Offensively unbelievable. There we go. See? All right. Hit thumbs down for that. Offensively, he is a stud. His vision on the court, his passing ability, all of that. When Joel Embiid plays Jokic, he gets cooked. There is a smell of burnt Serbian in the arena when these two match up against each other. Because Joel Embiid is better defensively. He's a better all-around player. Giannis, same thing. Like, okay, Anthony Davis. Offensively, Anthony Davis isn't even close to Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid is out here dropping 50 with one knee and a pinch of palsy. And Bleacher Report and The Ringer rank him bottom 50 of the NBA. Like, what the hell is going on? I understand that for the past year and a half, basically, Joel Embiid has been an afterthought. There was a recent, and this whole video has spurned on because there was an article written by ESPN, by a writer from ESPN, whose name I will absolutely butcher. I'm not even going to try it. It would be disrespectful. And it's really, really, really good. Like, it's worth reading. I think it does a really good job of reminding people how good Joel Embiid is, but also looking into the mental aspects of what makes Joel Embiid tick. It is long, though. I mean, this thing took me like an hour to get through, but it's worth reading. And I think Sixers fans, well, Philadelphia sports fans as a whole, I've always called it like the roller coaster effect. Ryan Howard is a prime example of the roller coaster effect. Ryan Howard comes to Philadelphia, lights the world on fire. Rookie of the year, next year, 58 bombs, MVP. Woo, roller coaster's going up. And then he gets paid. Now he's making $25 million a year. And all of a sudden, they've only won one World Series. And now people are nitpicking. And now people are looking at his defense. And now people are looking at the strikeouts. And who's getting blamed? Ryan Howard. The same people that are cheering Ryan Howard 2 years ago and arguing with their buddies in the bar about how good Ryan Howard is, now those same people have become detractors because he's striking out. It's the roller coaster effect. And Joel Embiid has experienced it, where Joel Embiid went from the bee's knees, and then all of a sudden Sixers fans started turning on him. Started turning on him because he's lazy, he's never healthy, he's got a bad attitude, he's moping and all that shit. It's absurd. And I think this article does a really good job of pointing out what he has dealt with. Now, look, he is a millionaire through and through. His grandkids won't have to do anything if they don't want to. But when you look at this guy's career, he's 7'2" and he's had 5 facial injuries. Like, that's insane to think about. 5 facial injuries. I mentioned it. Bell's palsy? Who the hell gets Bell's palsy in the NBA playoffs? That's the problem with Joel Embiid is it's not staying healthy. He's been able to stay healthy. His MVP year, he stayed healthy. It's staying healthy to the second round because one of those fractures came at the hands of Pascal Siakam in a closeout game where Embiid shouldn't have even been on the court, but he was. And what happened? Elbow to the face, boom, broken face. Next thing you know, they end up blowing a game, a series to Boston in the next round. I understand the Sixers' frustration with Joel Embiid and Sixers fans' frustration because you see the talent and you know it's there. What I don't appreciate as a fan and a staunch defender of Joel Embiid, and I will always defend that king at all costs, is people fail to realize how frustrating it must be to be that man and to constantly deal with these injuries. And it's like what can go wrong will go wrong. And I think as Philadelphia sports fans, we as a whole should understand that more than anybody. I was recently talking to somebody that we have been preconditioned since birth to do what anything can go wrong, right? And what could go wrong will go wrong. It's why you had people being baby back bitches during the Super Bowl. The team is a unit. Like, the team is unstoppable. They're dummying teams. And yet you had people still sitting there when they're up by like 24 points at halftime going, well, we can't say it. We can't say it. Don't say that. Anything can happen. Because at Philadelphia, we're preconditioned to wait for that other shoe to drop. Joel Embiid has been living with it. We're just fans of it. He's living with it. He's living with the surgeries. He's living with the rehab. This article does a really good job of pointing out just how difficult it has been for him to get on the court. And that's why I've never understood the Joel Embiid is lazy. Like, Joel Embiid has given his body to this city. Joel Embiid has fought through a lot of shit to get on the court for me, for you, for his teammates. Like, I get it that he's paid, but like, he could easily Andrew Bynum the situation. And he doesn't. He tries to get back. The problem with Joel Embiid, and the article addresses a little bit, for me at least, is the fact that he got injured against Golden State, and the article points this out. He was having his best career year. This is a year after he wins MVP. He is setting new career highs. It's like the guy continues to get better. He's averaging 35 points. A 30-piece was regular for Joel Embiid. And then what happens? Somebody falls on his knee, torn meniscus, and next thing you know, he's limping into the playoffs on one knee. And then he gets Bell's palsy, by the way. So he goes from that. He's not really not able to rehab it fully because then he has to go into the Olympics. And then he comes into this past season, and he's still not really healthy, and we all see what happens. I think that Joel Embiid gets a lot of guff from Sixers fans because of the fact that he is never healthy. The reality is, though, that you take any team in the NBA's best player off that team, they're not winning shit. They're not. Like, take Jason Tatum off the Celtics. They're not winning. Take Halliburton off Indiana. Take Steph off Golden State. Take Giannis off the Bucks. The list goes on and on. You can have great Robins. You need a Batman. The Sixers have their Batman. And not only do the Sixers have their Batman, the Sixers have, when he is on, and if he's healthy, he's on, one of, if not the best players in the NBA. I'll say he's the best player in the NBA. I'm biased. I know people will probably come in my throat for that, but like, you can't, you comparing Shea to Joel Embiid is ridiculous because it's guard and a center, but like, what Joel Embiid is able to do on a court is second to none. Nobody in the NBA can do what he does. And I think people have forgotten that. And that's what blows my mind. Like, people have truly forgotten how good this guy is. Maybe I've drank the Kool-Aid. Like, I'm way more optimistic about the upcoming Sixers season than a lot of people because I look at it like if Joel Embiid is healthy, and I'm Billy Mumphrey from Seinfeld. I'm Billy Mumphrey. I'm a cockeyed optimist. I'm expecting him to be healthy. You know, I am Charlie Brown with the football. Like, I'm running, and I'm just ready for Lucy to pull it away, and I'm fine with that. But if Joel Embiid is healthy, it really doesn't matter about Paul George. Like, Paul George is given a lot of money, but Joel Embiid, Maxey, Jared McCain coming back healthy, VJ Edgecombe coming in, being a spark plug off the bench, doing whatever needs to be done, learning from Nick Nurse, getting developed by Nick Nurse. Like, I think this team is really, really good. But it all depends on the health of Joel Embiid, and I think everybody knows that. But to disrespect this man by putting him 64th and 88th and whatever is absurd to me. When you're listing players like Desmond Bane ahead of Joel Embiid, I don't care about the injury. That's a joke. That is an absolute joke. And I'm telling you right now, everybody that hates Joel Embiid, and I know that there's a lot of people because basically the only people that like Joel Embiid are Sixers fans, but everybody that hates Joel Embiid is going to, in 10 years, when this guy's not here anymore, when he's retired, in 15 years, they're going to sit back and they're going to discuss Joel Embiid, and they're going to be like, shit, man, that dude was nice. That dude was cold. Like, he was the guy. People don't talk about Joel Embiid like that. No, it's LeBron, it's Giannis, it's Steph. Throw Joel Embiid in there. Like, I feel like he's gonna be the forgotten superstar. because of the injuries, because of what has been taken from him, because he is 7'2", and because of the fact that he moves like a guard, and 7'2" guys shouldn't move like a guard, but he does. The fact that he's able to do things on the court that centers don't do. You know, people are going to bring up Jokic because Jokic is constantly healthy, but Jokic doesn't move like Embiid. And I think people are going to appreciate this guy when he's gone, and I'm just here to tell you, appreciate him now. Appreciate especially Sixers fans. Like, I don't understand the hate from Sixers fans at all. I had a comment when I worked in sports media, when I worked in sports radio, and this was before his MVP year. And I said, look, if you think the window's closed on Joel Embiid, then you need to trade him, because his value right now is at an all-time high. No, it was after the Boston series. But it was after the MVP year, and I said, look, his value is at an all-time high. You got to trade him if you think the window's closed, because then what are we doing? I'm glad they haven't, because I get to watch greatness. But I think this past year and a half has really made fans completely forget. It's a combination of the Olympics, where for whatever reason he was getting hated on for representing Team USA. It's like, wait, aren't you from America and you're from America, but you're mad that one of the best players in the NBA is joining Team USA? He got shit on for joining Team USA, didn't play all that great, played here and there sparingly, but he wasn't Joel Embiid. And then he goes in the playoffs and he's clearly not himself. The moping thing, like, you deal with the shit he's dealt with. I'm sorry, it's tough to have a smile constantly on your face. I don't blame him for that. There's a human element to this. There's a human element to a guy that has dealt with grief in his life, like big-time grief in his life. I know we all have shit going on, but Joel Embiid has dealt with some serious, serious shit on top of the fact that his career has been hampered by serious injuries. And yet, he still continues to work to get back on the court, and when he is on the court, he dominates. He lights it up. He shows out. You have never... whoever watching this, right? All 12 people that'll watch this, you've never seen a player like Joel Embiid. Ever seen a player like Joel Embiid. And you can sit there and you can think and you can write, and maybe you'll convince yourself that you've seen a player. You haven't. You haven't seen a 7'2" guy who can play on both ends of the court, who can literally pick up moves, watch Dirk. Oh, Dirk's doing this? Yeah, I'll do it. And pick it up. Oh, Hakeem in the Dream Shake? I'll do that. Like, this dude is special. He needs to be appreciated before it is too late. I hate the term giving guys their flowers. Like, I loathe that term, but for lack of a better term, you got to give Joel Embiid his flowers. Joel Embiid, I feel like, is about to go on a revenge tour and remind the entire NBA and shut Bill Simmons the fuck up and remind everybody who the fuck he is. Because Joel Embiid is that dude. Sixers fans should appreciate him. And the article from ESPN, I think, does a really, really good job of that. It's got me fired up. It's like 2 a.m. here in Roxborough, and I'm like shot out of a cannon, ready to just fight for my Cameroonian king. But again, like, I'm a little biased, just a little bit. All right, what do you think happens with the Sixers? And I don't blame you if you say, like, oh, well, they're going to get bounced in the second round, because it just seems to happen every year. And where would you rank Joel Embiid? That's a better question. Where would you rank Joel Embiid in terms of current NBA players? Because I could not believe when I'm looking at these lists and going, like, where the fuck is Joel Embiid? And he's just not there because he had a season hampered by injuries? Huh. Y'all forgot, but you're about to be reminded. UFC 318, the final fight in the illustrious career of Dustin Poirier, goes down this Saturday. Let's give you a preview. But as always with these UFC previews, I want to tell you if the card is worth $80 or not. And you know what? I think this one actually might be. This is a really, really strong card. I mean, the UFC loaded it up, and I don't think it's just because of the fact that it's Dustin Poirier's final fight. I think a big part of it is there's no real belts on the line. And the UFC loves having, at minimum, 2 belts on the line. Now, if you want to call the BMF belt a belt, fine, whatever. I mean, to me, it's a made-up belt. You know, it's a participation trophy. It's like this baddest motherfucker thing. The only fight that has really encapsulated the bad motherfucker of the BMF belt was the last fight with Max Holloway and Justin Gaethje, where, you know, Max Holloway's winning that fight, and he says, you know what, screw it. I'm going to go to the center. I'm pointing to the center, and I'm saying, we're going to stand here, we're going to trade, and then he knocks Justin Gaethje out. Like, that was the definition of a bad motherfucker, but let's call it what it is. Like, this is a made-up belt. But the UFC did a really good job with this because of the fact that they didn't have the a belt on the line necessarily. They had to load it up with just guys, and they did that. So we'll start out with the first fight on the card. I truly can't believe this is the first fight on the card. I'm blown away, but Michael Johnson going up against Daniel Zellhuber, and I know I'm butchering his name, but that's horrible. Like, that's your first. Michael Johnson is the first fight of the night. I know I just said the card's worth $80. The card's worth $80, and this fight is worth it for Daniel Zellhuber. It's not worth it for Michael Johnson. Michael Johnson has taken a lot of what he said before he got his ass whooped by Justin Gaethje, and he's saying it now against Daniel Zellhuber. Daniel Zellhuber coming off of what many consider to be a candidate for fight of the year against Esteban Ribovics. Split decision loss. Like, it could have gone either way. Both guys showed up and showed out. Both guys are definitely one to watch. This is a get-right fight for Daniel Zellhuber. This is a showcase fight. Because at this point of his career, Michael Johnson should not be in the UFC. Like, he is a journeyman fighter who, I think his last fight, he finally got back in the win column after like 2 or 3 years. But it's the same thing with Michael Johnson. Every single fight with Michael Johnson, this is what you're going to hear. Wow, Michael Johnson's got the hand speed for sure. Michael Johnson looks really good in this one. Oh, man, Michael Johnson's the fast. Look at that boxing. And then he gets clipped. And then he gets murked. And then he gets finished. That's what happens to Michael Johnson in just about every single fight. I mean, you watch that Justin Gaethje fight, and look, it was years ago, and Justin Gaethje is a totally different fighter now. But, yeah, Michael Johnson's a good boxer, and that is about it. And Daniel Zellhuber will finish Michael Johnson. We'll get back in the win column, and we'll humble him after talking a whole bunch of crap during media day. Yeah, that's one of my locks is Daniel Zellhuber. Get right fight. I don't know the odds, but I expect it to be pretty lopsided. I can't believe they're feeding Michael Johnson to him. I can't believe Michael Johnson's still in the UFC, quite frankly. All right, next fight on the card is Dan Ige going up against Patricio Pitbull. Dan Ige's stock went so up after he literally, like the day of the fight, says, you know what? I'm fighting today. Like, I'm going in there, and I am going to take on Diego Lopez, and I don't care. I don't care that, I'm going to do it. Like, I'm going up a weight class. Like, I can do that. And he looked bad. But the fact that he was willing to do it, I think, shined a lot of eyeballs on 50K Dan Ige. Unfortunately, in his next fight against Laron Murphy, and that's a big fight, he lost that one as well. Now, he gets right in his last fight against, Sean Woodson. Yeah. I definitely didn't look at my computer. Sean Woodson. But he gets right in his last fight against Sean Woodson. Sean Woodson actually reminds me a lot of Michael Johnson. Like, it's a good boxing stance and all that. And Sean Woodson thinks better than Michael Johnson. Not the point. I'm getting distracted here. Danny Ige's stock went up is the point. Patricio Pitbull, however, he comes over from Bellator, former Bellator champion. He's a little old in the tooth, but still really, really good fighter. And he gets fed Yair Rodriguez. Like, that's a tough opening fight. Because Yair Rodriguez is such a tricky fighter, former interim champion. And I wasn't surprised that Patricio Pitbull lost that fight. I believe I had that one for Yair Rodriguez because Yair is such a tough fighter to prepare for. I think Patricio Pitbull, however, gets in the win column with this one. I like Dan Ige. And look, if Dan Ige gets you on the right night, like, you're going out. There's a reason why his nickname is 50K. Like, he earned that nickname for sure. But with that said, I think Patricio Pitbull is just a much more rounded fighter. Much better all-around fighter. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, hit thumbs down for that. That was bad. But we'll see. I like Patricio Pitbull in this one. I don't think it's a lock. But I'm excited for this fight. I'm excited to see what improvements Patricio Pitbull has made for this one because I feel like you're going up against a completely different fighter in this one compared to his last fight against Yair. Yair hits hands, no doubt about it. But Dan Ige's thing is, like, his punching power. And I'm excited to see Patricio Pitbull implement some new things for this camp compared to the last one, which was just a really, really tough fight. So I like Pitbull in that one, but I wouldn't be overly surprised if Dan Ige goes out there and starches him. All right, third fight of the card, and this one I am really looking forward to. Kevin Holland going up against D-Rod Daniel Rodriguez. Kevin Holland should be the bigger fighter in this one because the fight's at 170 and Kevin Holland kind of fluctuates between 185 and 170. Always game ready. This is why Kevin Holland is one of my favorite fighters because it seems like we just saw the guy. And we did. I mean, we saw him, well, God, a couple weeks ago, it seems like. Actually, let me look it up. All right, hit thumbs down for this. It is way, way late, and I have no... Normally, I don't like doing it. Normally, I don't like looking over because it's obvious. I'm like looking stuff up, and I feel like it looks bad. I don't really give a fuck at this point. Yeah, he choked out Vicente Luque, but when was that? June 7th. So literally, like, what? 9 minus 7, 12 days ago. That's quick math for you. 12 days ago, he chokes out Vicente Luque. And I think what has been impressive with him is his last couple fights, his last 3 wins at least, have been via submission. They haven't been via KO. I mean, he came into the UFC as a KO artist, but he's developed so much where now he's not just that. Now he is a guy that will go out there and get you in a darce, which he's been known to do. I think he got Vicente Luque with an arm triangle. Like, he's become a very all-around fighter. And I'm not saying that his wrestling defense is still there. Like, he keeps calling out Colby Covington, and I think that Colby would actually win that fight, even though Kevin Holland would be the bigger fighter. I would see that fight going a lot like the Marvin Vettori fight, where Marvin Vettori kind of just held him against the cage. But I like this fight for Kevin Holland. I like it for the main reason why is just he's the bigger fighter, and I think he's the better all-around fighter. But Daniel Rodriguez is really, really good. I like Daniel Rodriguez a lot, and this reminds me a lot of the last fight where I could see it going either way. I don't really have a strong opinion on it, but I do like Kevin Holland in this one, and I like Kevin Holland by submission. I think he ends up clipping him, and I think he ends up taking it to the ground and submitting him and getting another one, and then looking over and saying DC, now I'm a submission artist or something to that effect. But Kevin Holland, I really think is going to go out there, especially when you consider the fact that Daniel Rodriguez has a lot of his wins via knockout or TKO. Kevin Holland has yet to get TKO'd in the UFC. Like, he's been stopped via rib injury. But he has yet to lose that way. It's either been decisions or submissions for Kevin Holland. I don't see Daniel Rodriguez going out there and submitting Kevin Holland. So because of that, I like Kevin and Holland in this one. All right, next fight, the co-main event of the night. And when you're looking at the co-main event, you are looking at... This is bad. Paulo Costa. Jesus. I totally forgot this was the co-main event. Paulo Costa versus Roman Kopylov. The reason why I had that reaction is because I don't really know a lot of people out there that want to see Paulo Costa. Paulo Costa, apparently, like how I talked about Kevin Holland being so focused on Colby Covington during the media scrums and stuff. Paulo Costa calling out Khamzat Chimaev for sliding into his girlfriend's DMs. Like, as a guy, I get it. You're mad that this dude is shooting a shot. I think Paulo Costa needs to take a step back and realize, like, Khamzat Chimaev looks like that. But also, Khamzat Chimaev would take you to the woodshed. Like, you're barking up the wrong tree. Like, let's just have some faith in your girlfriend that she's not going to go and relieve you for Khamzat Chimaev, okay? But also, like, he's way, way better than you. Way, way better. Like, he would maul you. I think Paulo Costa was broken by Izzy. I don't think he's very good. I think he's a one-dimensional fighter. I think he's big. I think he's got punching power. And I think Roman Kopylov is a complete all-around fighter that is going to absolutely embarrass Paulo Costa. Roman Kopylov doesn't say a lot. He just goes out there, goes about his business, and wins. And I see that happening on Saturday. I don't think Paulo Costa is at championship level. I don't even think he's close to it. I think this is a fight to showcase Roman Kopylov against a guy that the commentators will be able to say, look, this is a guy that fought for a belt, fought for a belt, and fought a lot of big-name guys, and they'll list them all. But he's not there anymore. I don't know if he's still training with Eric Albanian, the Henry Cejudo's coach with glasses. He's a really, really good coach. I don't know if he's still training with him. He was for a while, but even he couldn't get Paulo Costa to, like, come out of it, and it's always an excuse with him. So I think Roman Kopylov goes out there. He's a really good fight, and then a very, very boring post-fight interview. Okay, look, finally let's get to the main event of the night. Max Holloway, Dustin Poirier. I am torn. I'm torn for many reasons because I am such a big Max Holloway fan. I love Max Holloway. He is in my Mount Rushmore of fighters that I adore. and never want to see lose. And yet, I don't want to pick with my heart. And that's my problem. So I think a lot of people are picking Max Holloway for this one because of the way that the last fight ended. I mean, it was such a badass moment, and it's an all-time moment for the UFC. But when you look at that fight as a whole, that fight was essentially over at the end of round 1 when Max Holloway broke Justin Gaethje's nose. And that changed the entire complexion of the fight. Because going into that fight, I thought, okay, Justin Gaethje's going to win this fight because what he's going to do is he's going to chop Max Holloway's lead leg down. Max Holloway comes out usually in a heavy boxer stance. He's going to chop that lead leg down, take off the power. Max Holloway will still be able to land punches, but he won't have a lot of power behind it. And Gaethje was never able to do that because of the fact he had his nose broken. He was never able to chop down Max's legs. Whereas we have seen Dustin Poirier do that to countless fighters, including Conor McGregor. He won he won the second Conor McGregor fight via leg kicks. Like, I know that he knocked him out, but he set up that knockout by deadening the leg of Conor McGregor, deadening that lead leg. And it's a I feel like a calling card of ATT. Like, Mikey Brown, his head coach, I feel like will come in there and basically tell him, like, look, in round 1 and 2, like, yeah, get your hands going, but make sure you're mixing in a lot of leg kicks with Max, and that's going to take him out of it. Max does a really good job of hiding the fact when he's hurt via leg kicks. Like, he does a really good job, but at the same time, I don't think you can bank on Max Holloway breaking Dustin Poirier's nose and changing the entire complexion of the fight. With that said, the things that are going in Max Holloway's favor for this fight are the fact that Dustin Poirier has had a hellacious media schedule because of the fact it's his final fight and because of the fact he's in his hometown, Louisiana, some state of Louisiana. So because of that, you do wonder how much of a drain the obligations to do all this media are taking on him. Whereas Max Holloway comes in and he's just like, yeah, I just want to play spoiler. That's it. The other thing that I'll mention too is I feel like a lot of times Dustin Poirier kind of comes up short in some cases. The big one for me was the Charles Oliveira fight where everybody thought that Dustin Poirier was going to run over Charles Oliveira. I actually had Charlie Olives in that one. But it was like it's Dustin's turn now to become unanimous champion. He's not going to be an interim. He's going to be the unanimous lightweight champion. And he lost. You know, he's lost to Habib, Islam. Like, those big moments, he's just come up a little bit short. Now, there's big moments against Conor McGregor, obviously, where he looks great. And he did win an interim championship. But, as I said, those big moments, he's kind of faltered a bit. And I feel like for him, it's not like winning the BMF belt is the be-all, end-all for him. I don't really think he cares. But for him, the big moment is the fact this is his final fight. It's in his hometown. He doesn't want to go out with a loss. I just wonder if the pressure will get to him. My gut reaction is it doesn't. My gut reaction is this is a war. This is an absolute war. But at the end of it, you'll sit there and you'll go, okay, Dustin Poirier won 3 rounds and Max Holloway won 2. And Dustin Poirier will go out on top. I hope I'm wrong. And I want it on record. Like, I was wrong about Justin Gaethje and Max Holloway, and I'm fine with that. Like, I loved watching that fight. I'll watch that fight all day. I love watching Max do his thing. And I hate picking against him. But I just look at the way that the first fight that they had, the second fight that they had. The first fight was years ago. The second fight that they had at lightweight where Dustin kind of beat the shit out of him. Now, granted, that was Max's first fight at 155. He moved up for that. Max has gotten his body right for 155 and all of that. But I just feel like the way that ATT is going to prepare Dustin for this fight will be very similar to, I feel like, how Justin Gaethje would have approached it had he not broken his nose. This is also, by the way, let me run through the card real quick. I like Daniel Zahuber against Michael Johnson. That is a lock right there. I like Patricio Pitbull getting in the win column with this one. I like Roman Kopylov against Paulo Costa. I like Kevin Holland. And it pains me. I will take Dustin Poirier. It's nothing against Dustin Poirier. I just love Max Holloway. Really good undercard for this one. Really good undercard. Brandon Allen, Marvin Vettori, I feel like that should flip-flop with the Daniel Zahuber, Michael Johnson fight. But I do know the UFC does this. Like, they'll put a really good fight as the prelim main event because they want a good fight for the prelim main event, and then the first fight of the actual pay-per-view card usually isn't good. But that's a really good fight. I like Brendan Allen that one. Marvin Vettori, I feel like, is decent, but like Brendan Allen's wrestling defense is really good, and that's kind of Marvin Vettori's bread and butter right there. I mean, Marvin Vettori hits hard, but Brendan Allen, I feel like I said this 15 times, is a more complete fighter. But there's a lot of good fighters on the undercard that I do fight card that I'm looking forward to. So I would say, this is a card where you tune in and you watch the entire thing. Hopefully you guys win money. If you don't, just know we lost together. And yeah, it's a pretty good card. So I'm gonna go now and I don't know. Like and subscribe. Subscribe. I don't care if you like it. Subscribe. I need subscribers. Yeah. So do that for me. Be nice in the comment section. Okay, now I'm gonna go.